so excited about the new pandas at the Washington Zoo. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to mandate, get it on. Happy to see Danny Trejo back in the studio. He's got a new film, Seven Cemeteries. It looks good. Kind of reminiscent of some of the other films you've done over the years.
You know, it's funny. I love a Western called The Magnificent Seven.
Yes.
And it's kind of like that, but with zombies. You know, it's got murder, mayhem, decapitation, a typical love story. You know, just
yeah, it's a real interesting twist.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of the Tarantino film you did. I'm going to think of the name
Dusk
of it.
Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn, which is like fun, but scary, but zombies, but like kind of everything. Also, for those of you who never saw his documentary, Inmate Number One, it's a really good watch.
Yeah.
Like, it really tells the Trejo story.
You know, I wrote a book called My Life of Crime, Redemption in Hollywood, and I did it with Donald Logue, because I had, I kept trying to get people to help me write a book, and I don't use words like prolific. I still don't know what that means. But Donald grew up in like Calexico, you know, like right by the border. They don't even got streets, and so he just kind of was real grounded as far as like writing, you know, the right words. And so when I gave it to my kid's mom, Maeve, she read it and said, "This sounds like you." know, so
Yeah, Donald Logue, good dude.
Love him. Yeah, God, my best friend.
Did and for you, I mean, you really a story. I don't know if you've ever given a TED talk, but you really should, because you kind of are the American dream mixed with a lot of redemption and overcoming odds and all that. And I think that's why people root for you. Like, I feel there's celebrities that people like they like George Clooney, but they don't root for George Clooney. You know, I feel like they root for Danny Trejo.
Yeah, but I root for George. I love him.
You root for George. Everyone else roots for you. You pass the rooting along. But I do love that, and I love the commercial success. I turn on the TV, I see a Del Taco commercial. You got the machete out, you're chopping.
Microwaves.
I gotta get controversial here with the Mexican food. Okay. And listen, I'm prepared for you to disagree.
Okay.
I do not like flour tortillas in my tacos. No. I like corn tortillas in my tacos.
Me too.
And I argue with dumb white people all day. All day I argue with dumb white people who go, "I like the flour." I go, the flour
is the for burrito.
It's a napkin. It's just holding the stuff. Corn has its own flavor. Mike August, if you're listening, we argued in the back of an Uber in Texas about this a week ago. Danny Trejo, you tell Mike August what the best...
Mike, flour tortillas are for burritos. Okay?
That's what I told him.
They're for burritos. They're made specially for burritos. When you put them for a taco, it's kind of, it's kind of like trying to use a wagon for a sled. It doesn't work.
Trejo's coming after you with a machete. If you don't listen to him, Mike, listen to him. He listens to the show. Listen to Trejo. I got a huge argument about this.
It's funny because when we gave him the Del Taco, the recipe, we said you can't change it, and they did really well with that too, So
it looks good. Yeah,
it's delicious. I got to say that I used to send people in there to eat and stuff, and they'd come back and tell me, "Hey, it was good," or I never got a bad report. But my staff stopped sending the guys with the tattoos on their neck. Okay,
you sent guys in like secret shoppers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so you do Trejo's Tacos, right? Mm-hmm. And then what businesses are kind of figuring out is they should hook up with these smaller
names
and incorporate.
That's
so
what we
it's
do.
sort of like, They used to just have Budweiser served at this pizza place, and now they got Anchor Steam or something. They just go with the smaller whatever. So so Del Taco goes, let's get some of Trejo's tacos, and then you got to make sure that the taco they're serving is good enough to put your name on.
Right on, and so like I said, it's like I was going to Del Taco, and people say, Chubby, we got tacos here now, and so, but I like I said, it's like the food's got to be like, I got to like it.
Right. So you send guys in quietly to buy the stuff.
Yeah. The only thing, like all my staff said, we were scared they were going to rob us.
So,
hey, give me a taco.
There was a situation. Was it 4th of July? Were you cruising in your Impala or whatever, and you had a dust up with somebody a few weeks ago?
We had what was it, parade, 4th of July parade, and I guess some people started throwing water balloons, and I would, okay, and then they hit this little girl, and so I got out. I went to talk to the guy, and he didn't want to talk, so. But there was nothing. Yeah,
it wasn't a big deal. The press made a thing about it.
Of course,
You're in the parade cruising, right?
Yeah. No, we were part of the parade, and so some guys, idiots, just decided to throw some water balloons, and I don't think they'll do that anymore.
You gave him the voice. Do you wonder? Do you think there's more nonsense out there just because there's not a kind of street policing that used to be done when we were young? Like people, you just didn't fuck around because you couldn't because you would get hit. And now there's none of that. There's no that going on anymore.
It's like the street police have all gone, so there's nothing going on the streets. Everything's in the car. And I know we need more policing. Period. And people, what do you mean? Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? It's like, I think, I know it's contradicting, I think, but teachers and police should be paid like really good salaries, because you got teachers that teach the kids that go to school, and you got the police to get the kids that don't want to go to school.
Right.
But because... education is the key to anything you want to do.
You said off the air that you were not dyslexic, but you were kind of a dumb shit.
Well, you know what? It was. I started working with autistic children. Okay, and when I was in junior high school, they put me in a class. It was called social adjustment, and probably I started that class, and by the end of the month they had about 20 of us in there, and when I started working with autistic kids,
we're talking about the San Fernando Valley, back in the day.
When I started working with autistic children, I realized that everybody in that classroom was on the spectrum somewhere. You know what I mean? I mean, the kids, they were doing the same thing that the kids are doing now, the kids with autism, and so I said, wow, so we were all on the spectrum. My daughter said, I'll be the perfect poster for ADD because they never been able to stay still.
Yeah. So you kind of told me off the air when I was tested for dyslexia.
Yeah.
And I kept telling everyone, I just never learned to read.
Yeah.
I'm not dyslexic.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is dyslexic.
Yeah.
I didn't learn. You don't know how to read when you're born, and if you don't learn, then you're not going to know how to read. And that's how I went through my childhood.
I never made student. It's like it just in school it just wasn't. I don't know.
What do you think you needed when you were like 12? What would have changed your trajectory from ending up incarcerated if someone had got hold of you when you were 12?
I had
Could
an
be medication. I don't know.
No, I had an uncle that was like my mentor, and he happened to be a drug addict and an armed robber. So I think. Let me give you an example. Okay, your mom's on the phone, and you go to her, and you go, "Mom," and you go, "Shut up! I'm on the phone. Get yourself on the phone." Oh, sorry. Okay, so and you go to your dad. He's on the phone. Hey, Dad. Oh, you wait till I get off this phone. Okay, then you go to your uncle who's using drugs. All right. And you, hey, Gilbert, and yeah, hold on a minute. Yeah, what do you want, Holmes? So all of a sudden, it's like just that.
Yeah.
You're just that. It's like, whoa, there's a difference there. So my Uncle Gilbert always had time for me. It's okay, that's who turned me on to weed.
Right.
My Uncle Gilbert always that's who turned me on to heroin. My Uncle Gilbert, who I did armed robberies with. So it was like, this was my mentor. Because at an early, he had time for me. That's the guy that I looked up to. So it's like, and I watch a lot of parents in the market, like, I'm talking to you. And I don't, my kids, and still your kids are still going to use drugs if drugs wrong. But like right now, my son is a director. Gilbert is in the DGA. My daughter works in production. You know, she's in the office doing all that stuff. You know, my other son's a gamer, so they're all doing great.
Yeah, I had the same kind of parents you had, probably less aggressive, but it was like, it was understood back then that they didn't even want kids in the house. It was, you know what I heard? Take it outside. Just take it outside. It's like, I'm reading. Go out. Go do it somewhere else.
Did you have plastic over your couch?
No, that would have cost, first off, that would have suggested that there was something worth protecting underneath the plastic. We had used sofas that people would throw away, and my mom would tuck sheets into them. Like she would drag stuff off the curb that people dragged out into the street to throw away. She would get it and then put sheets over it. She wouldn't even have plastic. Was too nice. My parents, my mom and my dad have never purchased a new piece of furniture in their entire life. And so their number one goal was for us, meaning me and my sister, to leave. Now, they wouldn't say that, but that was their goal. Because when we were there, we would have wanted money or food or attention or time or something that they didn't want to part with. And so they didn't, my sister ran away in 8th or 9th grade. She just left because she wasn't, she felt like she wasn't wanted there. And if you talk to them, they'd say, oh, no, there was great love. You know, but I would say, well, then why did your daughter leave? She didn't leave to go to boarding school in Switzerland. She just left. She just walked out. And why did everyone just leave and like never come home? And I ate dinner at other people's houses every single night. I didn't hang out with them at all because that's what they wanted. Because some people don't look at their kids as their kids. They look at their kids as just kids who are people who want a bunch of stuff, and they don't want to give it to them. You know? Now, I don't know what your family, did they not want to, did your mom cook every night?
My mom, in the 50s, it's like women, they were kind of indentured servants. You know, my dad took me from my real mom when I was 3. Then he married a lady that, you know, to raise me, really, but she didn't like kids. Dad could sure pick them, you know what I mean? And so me and her never got along, you know, but she did what she was supposed to do.
Where was your biological mom during this?
Well, all this time they told me she was no good, blah, 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 you know. But she was actually a pretty nice lady when I met her.
When did you reunite?
When I met her in 1965, when I got arrested in a big drug beef and it was in the papers, that's when she found out where I was at.
Because she didn't know where you were at.
She came up to the county jail and visited me, you know.
Your dad just took you.
Oh, yeah. Threatened to kill her if she came looking for her. You know?
Why the vitriol?
What?
It's a Donald Logue word.
I love
Vitriol. I mean, what was the beef with your mom and your dad that your dad had to threaten to kill her and take her away?
She was married to
Take you away?
a soldier. Well, my dad was with her.
She was married to somebody else.
Yeah. And so,
well, that's an issue.
You know, so it started off negatively, I think.
Your dad was married to her and she was married to somebody else?
No, my dad wasn't married.
Uh-huh.
She was married.
She was married.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so they got together, and then
She cheated on her husband?
Yeah.
Oh, with your dad?
yeah.
Okay.
And so then,
now I've worked this out.
Then it was he came and took me when I was 3.
So,
And her husband was pretty
her-
cool because her husband was going to, no, I'll raise him. It's cool. You know?
so the husband knew you weren't his kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
White guy?
Yeah.
The husband,
Was a good guy. I mean,
was he white?
gonna
Was he
raise me.
Hispanic? Was he?
Yeah, he was Hispanic.
Oh, he was Hispanic.
He was gonna raise me, but then my dad came and
She was straight up with him.
yeah,
She told him, this isn't your kid.
yeah,
Okay. And he said, all right.
and then my dad took me and threatened her, and then everybody told me she was bad, and that's the way I grew up. And then like my dad remarried, and my dad got married, but like I said, she didn't like kids. You know?
Yeah, I identify with some of that. And so you had you had like sort of, they talk about kids that were born on third base.
Yeah.
And think they hit a triple, but you were born in the dugout. Like
Yeah.
you were already
Yeah,
down.
I was already,
you were in the hole.
know. And it was funny because she would come try to visit me, and if my dad came home, she had to hide, you know, because.
She would come to your dad's house and try to visit
Oh
you.
yeah, it was my aunt's house where we lived, you know.
But your dad was buzzing around, and your stepmom was around,
Yeah.
so they couldn't see her.
Nah. So anyway, and that's the way I grew up. And then when I met her, I was in the county jail, and she came. We started writing and got together.
How old were you when you met her?
I went to join. She's 20. I was 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did she live long enough to see you have
I
success?
came out of the joint in 69, the end of 69, and me and my sister Diane, we went and we visited her, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it was just, wow. Yeah.
But did she live long enough to see Danny Trejo, the actor, the success?
No, she just lived long enough to see that I was doing good and I was staying out of prison.
Right. So she hung around long enough
Yeah.
to see that you were not incarcerated.
But it's so funny, but I see so much of her in my sister Diane. My sister Diane is just like so proud of me, you know. So, and we're really close, you know. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like a therapy session, I like it.
It's interesting. Well, everyone's background and sort of how it shapes who they are. And then I think the problem is they expect different things out of different people who didn't come from where they came from, and they don't know it, you know?
You know, it's so funny, but I think we all have like our certain path. And people say, well, I'm so sorry. And it's kind of like my path really kind of set me up for the life I got now. You know, because I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of work with kids. Somebody just called me about their brother, about their son that's drinking and using, and can I, talk to him? Yeah, and I seemed, because of the fact that I have this notoriety and I've been where I've been, people that are in trouble seem to listen.
Well, it all adds, they're if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger is an adage, which, sometimes makes sense and sometimes doesn't. But having this sort of rich tapestry in your background of all these different lives, because you're able to live the life of a criminal, the life of an inmate, the life of an actor, the life of an entrepreneur, the life of a restaurant owner. You know what I mean? Like all the different lives you've
now
led.
I got a record label.
Now right now you're P. Diddy.
You know, it's
well. Let's see, R. Kelly? No, I can't.
yeah.
think
We
of
started a
anybody.
record label.
You started a record label to do what kind of
Everything
records?
good that has happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else. I was helping this lady who lived in a battered women's shelter whose daughter wanted to be a singer. So we said, okay, me and Mario Castillo, we started this record label, Trail of Music, and she's doing great. And so we got Coda the Barber, and he's like, singing all over. So,
Yeah, I think about that a lot. And you and I have talked about this before, that all the good that's come out of your life has been because you've kind of surrendered and then thought, how can I help these people?
Exactly.
And then the good comes of it. And I've seen it in other people. I've definitely seen how that works. Now, see, some people, they call it karma.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's karma. It's relationships.
yeah, I think it's like you have to do good to get good. It's that simple. It's I don't know if it's karma or what they call it, but Mario Castillo, I helped him. I did a movie called Blood In, Blood Out, 1991. I was in San Quentin doing this movie. I'd been in San Quentin in 1965 and 66 as an inmate.
Right.
And,
You're coming back as an actor.
yeah, and I met Mario. We talked and stuff, and then I told him about staying clean and stuff. 8 years later, I see him in a recovery house, and we start. Wow, I took your advice. I'm clean. Blah blah. So he starts working in recovery and does great and blah 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 blah. And I ended up making him an assistant of mine. Right, he's an assistant. And we're doing great and blah 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 blah. And then 10 years ago, he saved my son's life. My son was doing meth and heroin and everything, just going nuts. And I got a call. I was in Germany from Michko, who was my son's best friend and who grew up at my house, and he says, "Hey, Gilbert's killing himself, man. It's, 'cause my son had money, so that money means drugs and friends, and so as long as you got money, you got drugs and friends, and they just keep on, and so Mishko called me, and I called Mario, and Mario's in the face. He said, "Okay, don't worry," because I was getting ready to come home from Germany when I was doing this movie, and no, I got him, hold on, and then about 6 hours later, he called me. He said, "I got him. He's cool." I said, "Okay, I'll be home in 2 days," and so we came home, took him to Rim of the World, which is a recovery center up in the hills, and a girl that I knew, took him in, and he's got 10 years clean, and he's in the DGA. He's a director. He's been clean since that time.
That's great.
Doing great. He's done a couple of films.
Well, if you think about it this way, think in terms of, I always think about it this way. When your phone rings and you see who it is who's calling, sometimes it's a family member and sometimes it's a friend or something, and you look at it and you think, what does this person want? You have a sort of a suspicious thought. So if you have a family member who every time they call you, they're just asking for something, then when that person calls and you see on your phone it's that person, you think, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to pick up. I don't want this. You have a thought. You have a thought about that person,
Absolutely.
right? When Donald Logue calls you, you have a different thought.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you call somebody, what does that person think when your name comes up on their phone? And that's what you have to think about.
Yeah.
What are they thinking? Are they picking up and going fantastic, or are they going, I don't know?
Well, I don't usually, when I call somebody, I don't usually want anything. I just kind of want to.
Well, that's why they pick up.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you call them because you want something, you can do it a few times and then they stop picking up.
Yeah, but I think looking at it, Adam, a Carolla way, it's kind of like I just pick up the phone. I don't even look who cares. The only thing I don't pick up is spam.
Well, that's another analogy, which is when the phone rings and you don't even know who's calling, are you freed up sort of mentally enough just to pick up the phone? Because I'll tell you this right now. Let's say you're a contractor and you're a bad contractor. And you got a lot of customers out there who you took money from, and they have half-finished houses and kitchens, right?
Yeah.
When your phone rings, you're not
I
free.
ain't
You ain't picking it up. You don't just go, oh, who's that calling? You immediately think about the people who you owe work and money to, and you got to be very careful about picking up that phone. Yeah. Right, because you have baggage.
Yeah, sure.
But if you're free...
Yeah.
You don't owe people work. You don't owe people money. You didn't screw people over. The phone just rings. You just pick it up because you don't care.
I think
because it's a freedom.
I just the only person I owe is the IRS. They won't call.
Oh, the IRS.
They just show up.
Did you ever think you'd pay this much in taxes?
Never in my life.
Because you cost the system money from probably age 13, well, maybe from 0 to 30, right?
Absolutely.
How much money, I mean, when did you stop costing money?
1969. Mm-hmm. I was, 25, I think.
So yeah, from almost 0 to 25, you took money. Yeah. Right? I mean, you gave court-appointed attorneys, incarceration. I mean, you cost money. Even,
but I still owe them IRS. It's like,
yeah, maybe this is your karma to now pay all this money in.
But I got the best tax guy in the world.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I should talk.
You need a tax man from the Jewish faith. You do. It's like you gotta. If he's not, you're in trouble.
Well, listen. People get their panties in a bunch talking about this, but let's just do it. Let's just work this way.
Okay.
You're from San Fernando Valley, Silmar, San Fernando, that area. If somebody said this guy does stucco work and he's a Jew, I'd go, give me a Mexican.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they know. Absolutely. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
And if you said, who's doing the taxes, I'd say, get me a Jew. But shouldn't be insulting to people.
You know what?
That's what they're better at it. They do more of it, and they have a history of it. Give me a boxer, give me a black guy, give me a Mexican guy, but don't give me the Jew.
I love my tax guy. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something. I would just literally mow his lawn.
He needs a Mexican to mow the lawn of the Jew who's doing the taxes.
So funny. It's like let me see. I'll give you a perfect example. I was in junior high school. They started taking out all the shops, and I was, wait a minute, why are they doing? It says, well, because only the African Americans and the Mexicans are in shop. Okay, well, Mexicans like to work with their hands. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of them. There's some that go to college and want to be a lawyer, but we like to. I love to work with my hands, or the yard, whatever, right? And mechanics, the same thing. It's like not everybody is cut out to be an attorney or a doctor. I don't even like desks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sitting at a desk, and so, but they cut them out because the what do you call it? The educators.
The Board of Education.
You know?
Yeah, no, listen.
And it was like ridiculous.
I scream about this shit all day, every day. I've always yelled about it. I yelled about it yesterday. Chiz, not everybody wants to go to college, and not everyone wants to be a doctor or a lawyer.
My
and
son,
we need pipe
right
fitters.
now,
We need electricians. What happened to shop?
He's
I know.
in the DGA. My son is a director, and he's unbelievable. And he got his GAD or whatever. He didn't like
GED.
school.
Yeah.
But I used to take him to movie sets to try to get him into acting. And secretly, he would sit and talk to the camera guy and learn everything. When we did Machete with Robert Rodriguez, he shadowed Robert Rodriguez. He said, "Can I be yours?" Yeah. And Robert, this kid could join the DGA now. He knows everything about camera, and a couple weeks later, my kid went and joined the DGA.
Yeah. Well,
And so it's like I said, not everybody needs college. Now, yeah, I would say, yeah, let's go to college. But some kids are not going to go to college. There's some kids that want to work on cars. There's some kids that want to paint cars. There's some kids that want to do construction.
Well, okay. First off, we would cease to function as a society if everyone just went to college and became a lawyer.
Absolutely.
Because who would build the houses and who would paint the cars and who would put the Bondo on the fenders, right?
Exactly.
So we need these people, number one. Number two, we started this thing where we started to look down on these people because they were blue collar and they were uneducated and they didn't really know. And our plan was to lift them up and get them college degrees. And remember, people used to go, "I'm the first person in my family to go to college." Everyone would just applaud. And meanwhile, your dad's probably a plumbing contractor who makes 10 times more than you're ever going to make. You know?
Yes.
But and so it became a kind of snobbery. We became snobs. We're like, my kid's going to college. And then parents started arguing that your kid's going where? He's going to UCLA. Well, my son's going to Stanford, And then it became a kind of narcissistic endeavor for the parents to go like, my kid's smarter than your kid, and he's going to an Ivy League school, and so on and so forth. But the reality is some people don't want to do that work. Look, I would be a horrible nurse.
Yeah.
I would be horrible at accounting. Yeah. I hate that stuff. But I liked being a carpenter, and I was good at it. And so that's where that's what I wanted.
It's funny because you look at some of our politicians. Some of them are real idiots. I mean, really. But they have a certain personality that helped them with government and work. I know nothing about government other than you got to pay taxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, now it's your guy Irv.
That's it.
That's you.
Vote. Everybody go vote.
No, I listen. I'm with you. I want more shops and schools. I was yelling about it yesterday.
Absolutely.
People need skills. There's this pride that comes with that. Not working ruins people because you need the pride that comes with going out and physically doing something or getting something done.
We do. We need more shops. We need more gardening. We need more stuff that work with your hands and not just, because now that's all our lives, Columbus discovered America. Now they're saying he didn't.
Yeah. Well, we're going insane. We're going in.
The Vikings.
Well, they give him credit for discovering him, but they just go, he's an old white guy, and he brought a lot of disease and all this stuff. Listen, first off, nothing's free. No. Everyone has a history. Everyone has the baggage. You have the old guys. That guy had a slave. That guy owned slaves. Yeah, everyone owned slaves. Other countries owned slaves. Like everybody's got a horrible history. Every country took other people's land, threw them off that land, did the thing. At the end of the day, you have to just go, is a country, is it a net positive?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that way with people, too. Danny Trejo was in the system. cost the California taxpayers, cost the federal taxpayers, was a burden on the system. Then he got out, started making movies, started opening restaurants, did a deal with Del Taco, and now he is exceeded his burden. He's paid more in, he's made more people happy, he has rehabilitated more people, and so now his good has outweighed his negative. Okay? So you go, Danny Trejo, how does it break down? I don't know. Maybe it's 80% good and 20% bad or whatever.
Are you people like that?
Whatever it is, but you are a package.
Yeah.
Countries are a package.
Yeah.
You know, you go, well, England, they went to India and they colonized India. Yeah, okay. And they did some bad things. And then there's also some good things that came out of what they did in India and America. And it's all the same. Nothing's free. It's sort of a net good versus a net bad. Okay, we had slavery. Okay, but we ended World War II as well. You know what I mean? And liberated lots of European Jews or whatever, possible relatives of your accountant. But
Absolutely.
The point is you can't just nitpick the bad stuff anybody's done or any nation's done. It's all going to look bad.
I just got a restaurant in London on Portobello Road.
I don't know all
in
the
London,
streets.
A Trejo's Tacos.
Oh, you did? How many Trejo's Tacos do you guys have now?
In London. So.
How it is tough to get good tacos down out
Doing
there.
well, doing really good.
Well, it would have to. They would love it, right?
So it's doing really
Is there
well.
anything different? If I blindfolded you and I said you can have a Trejo's Tacos from here in L.A. and a Trejo's Tacos from London, could you taste any difference?
No, because we got all this. When Ash Shaw went and found all the ingredients that we use here, because it was going to be too expensive to ship stuff over, so they found them all over there. So they're using all our ingredients, so it would be the same. And that's the one thing that we wanted to make sure of.
How many Trejo's Tacos are there now?
We have 6 so far, and then we're opening up another one in London, and we're opening up another one in Detroit, like the House of Blues, though, with the venue, because I have a record label, so we can.
Oh, right.
So do
This entrepreneurial thing showing up at a late stage in life for you, Danny. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Well, it's interesting how it becomes kind of intoxicating. Like you kind of go, wow, I like this. What else can we? It's a positive cycle, right? You go, we're going to open one in London. We're going to open one in Detroit. Like you start thinking about, well, maybe I'll start coming out with my own beverage line, my own horchata line.
Yeah, we have Trejo's drinks, which are like non-alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah. We're talking about that.
Yeah, that's really, really doing well. So that's cool.
Yeah, but it's funny. Yeah, funny that you're 80 years of age, right?
Yeah.
When you were 70, you were not nearly the entrepreneur that you are now. Is that correct?
Well, when I was 70, that's when we started the restaurants. But again, everything good that happens as a direct result of helping someone else. I helped a director who needed a name for his movie. And so, so Gloria, my agent, said, let's do his movie. So we did his movie. And on that movie, I met a producer named Ash Shaw, who saw that I eat good food. I won't eat Mickey. I won't. I eat good food. I don't eat junk food.
Right. I don't eat junk food.
And my Ash, the producer, saw that and said, "Danny, why don't you open a restaurant?" Jokingly, I said Trejo's Tacos because that's what I always used to tease my dad about. Because my, in the 50s, women didn't work.
Yeah. Did your dad hang around long enough to see you as a success?
Yes,
as an
but
actor?
not as
entrepreneur.
this kind of success.
Right, but as a working actor.
Yeah, as a working
Did your stepmom hang around long enough to see that?
Oh, she did. Yeah.
She outlived your dad.
And last few years of her life, we got pretty close.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Was that you doing that or her?
Both of us. She was kind of, I don't know, just realized that I'm not going anywhere.
Was she repentant? Did she think
I think so.
I didn't treat this guy that great?
Trying to make her life better. It made her life better. She was alone, and it was funny because my two best friends, Mario and Max, they actually started going over to her house. And we'll meet you at your mom's, and so they
moms, but
stepmoms, yeah,
right. But was she reacting to your success?
I think no. I think she was just tired of. Wait a minute, man. Why am I fighting with this guy? Or why do I? I don't know. I don't care. I didn't really give it much thought. But
is there a part where she was getting older and kind of wanting to get her emotional affairs in order?
You know what? That's a good way of putting it. I think so. Yeah, I think that was it.
But good for you.
Yeah.
And good that your dad got to see you working. And I mean, I understand that I wasn't, particularly close with my family members, but I had a step grandfather who was a Jew, and he was a good dude.
Yeah.
And he was from Hungary, and he was old. And I knew he knew that I drove a truck and had to keep my tools in their shed because I lived in an apartment and they get stolen, from my truck. And he knew he was an educated guy and a little bit successful, not really financially, but he was a playwright. And all he knew is that I drove a truck and built people's houses and got paid next to nothing and had a bunch of tools and lived in apartments with dudes, roommates and stuff. And before he died, I wanted to make it clear to him that I was not that guy anymore, that I was having success and that I was making money and I wasn't working out in the sun all day. I was going to an office and I was writing jokes. I was doing what he did. I was writing and performing and a success. It was like, it was kind of, it became important to me that I didn't want him to die thinking I was on a construction site somewhere drinking from a hose, So I had that thought, but it's because I liked him and I didn't want him to, he wouldn't think ill of me, but I basically wanted him to think I was a loser, and you at least got out of the joint before anyone died on you, right?
Yeah.
Except for maybe Gilbert, your uncle.
No, my uncle was out. He was out. I helped him, but he couldn't stay clean. And then it's funny because Michael Mann had made friends with my uncle when they were in Folsom. And Michael Mann did a movie called The Jericho Mile in Folsom. And in order to get the Mexicans to come out for the movie, he had to talk to the people that ran the Mexican Union.
You're talking about Mexican inmates?
Yeah. That was my uncle and a couple other Mexicans.
So he needed the sort of prison bosses to sign off on being in this movie.
Yeah, he won't cop to it, but he paid my uncle SAG wages while my uncle was doing that film with him.
Oh, really? Yeah. Michael Mann did.
Yeah, and when I showed up on the movie Heat, he said, "Hey, how's Gilbert?" Gilbert overdosed. He died. But
he died out of prison.
Yeah, Michael Mann changed the script 3 times, changed my name. And then finally he came up and said, "Hey, Dan, can I call you Gilbert? Because every time I look at you, I just think of Gilbert, and it just throws me." Yeah, so my name was Gilbert. So in the
movie,
credits,
your name was Gilbert.
It says Gilbert Trejo, played by Danny Trejo.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a piece of trivia, man.
Uncle,
Homage. That's a Donald Logue kind of word right there.
And it's so funny. I got his son out of prison after 32 years. We went to the governor and talked to him and let him out, and because he was like 16 when he went to the joint, and so
Gilbert was
52 when he got out. Yeah.
Gilbert's
that's my uncle's son.
Son. Yeah. That's right. Oh yeah, forgot about that guy.
Yeah, and so we got him out. And now he's doing great. He's a electrician for a big company and makes better money than all of us.
Did he learn the trade in prison?
Yeah, but he learned it on his own. He just read books and read books and read books.
Oh, really? They didn't have a program or anything?
Yeah. And he started working in the prison as an electrician. Came out here, passed the union test, and went to college out here at a trade tech. And I remember going to his graduation, and he was funny. He worked at SoFi Stadium, his first job
during the construction of it,
and did great. Right, I got to see SoFi before anybody.
You got to walk that place when they're building it.
And then he went to the LAX. Well, at LAX, you've got to get a clearance, from the
TSA.
Yeah, so
because you got to go on the other side of TSA.
So he put down 3 references, and then the Homeland Security. Great way. You got 3 ex-convicts here. What do you?
Right.
And my name, right?
Right.
And but the powers that be told him, no, these guys are all been rehabilitated and stuff. And so Homeland Security told him, look, get some other guys, because this is always going to be a red flag.
Are you? Do you look at yourself as rehabilitated?
I look at myself as better, and there's still a switch there that can get stupid at any time.
Throw a water balloon at my Chevy. Yeah, I'll fuck you up, kid.
But it's like it's better, and I don't think you ever lose. Once you've crossed that line, I don't think you ever actually lose that line. You just come on the other side, and it's like I never want to see that guy again,
Your youthful self that could snap and injure somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good. I like this version of you as well.
My kids,
the folks at Del Taco enjoy this version
funny,
of you.
My daughter's the one. She's the one that really. She was being interviewed once. I said, "Well, how do you feel about your dad? I mean, all his success, blah blah." And she says, "He's my dad." Yeah,
right.
That's it. That's it. That's what's your goal in life, to be a dad, and that's it.
Well, you've earned yourself a plug for that, Danny Trejo. And also, I want to try some of those tacos.
But we've got to see this movie.
We got to see the movie.
Yeah.
7
God, I'm telling you,
Cemeteries is the movie.
It's some of the best stuff I've ever done.
Watched it. I'll tell you what. Here's a challenge. Just watch the trailer. Everyone who's listening, just go online and see how good this trailer is, and tell me if you're not intrigued, because you will be. It's available in select theaters now, and it's also on VOD and digital as well. All right, Danny, our time is up, because I think you got to get to a Del Taco, sneak in and test some of your soft tacos.
You, man. Hey, there it is right there.
There it is. It's up on the screen. Always good to see you, my friend.
God bless you, man. Thank you.
Tony Stewart, NASCAR legend, is going to come in here, and I think we'll do some news as well. We'll do that right after this. Simply Safe, old school security systems only act once there's already somebody in your home. Simply Safe is changing that. New Active Guard outdoor protection. Stop crime before it starts. Live monitoring agents can keep watch outside of your home or anyone loitering or acting suspicious. Live Guard can see, speak to, and scare them off with loud sirens and spotlights. Simply Safe's cameras, AI ignores friendly faces, see how smart they are, family, neighbors, dog walkers, while alerting agents to threats, actual threats. Starts around $1 a day, no hidden fees or long-term contracts, cancel anytime. We've all used these guys. They've been supporters of the show since we've started pretty much. And I partnered with Simply Safe to give you an offer, 50% off. Just for my listeners, 50% off. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam. Get the 50% off. Right, Dawson?
This offer is only valid for 1 week, so visit the website now, simplysafe.com/Adam. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Bioptimizers, magnesium breakthrough. Well, if you're getting enough magnesium, I bet you don't. Because 4 out of 5 Americans aren't, and it affects the way you sleep. Yes, they always say take magnesium, helps you sleep, but take the good magnesium. Since I added magnesium breakthrough to my nightly routine, I get a full night's sleep. I wake up refreshed. I don't toss and turn like I used to. It used to be an issue for me. Other magnesium supplements might give you 1 or 2 forms of magnesium. Magnesium breakthrough contains all 7 forms of magnesium. All Bioptimizers supplements are the best in class. Get a full refund if you don't love it. No questions asked. If you disagree, fine, you get a full refund. They offer a 365-day money-back guarantee. I take mine every night before I go to bed. It's Bioptimizers. Right, Dawson?
Don't miss out on the most relaxing sleep ever with Magnesium Breakthrough. For an exclusive offer, go to bioptimizers.com/Adam and use promo code Adam during checkout to save 10%. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed. Celebrating 15 years of podcasting, here's a memorable moment from the Adam Carolla Show's Ace Awards archives.
I love Saturday Night Live. I've always loved Saturday Night Live, except for when DJ Khaled performed. But
another one.
That guy, yeah.
That's how he orders food. Another one. Yeah. Can I get your coffee? Another one.
You like some ranch with those fries?
Another one.
Okay. Normally we don't put the chili and the ranch on top of the fries.
No, another one.
Okay. Would you like a steak cut fry, a curly fry, or just a traditional fry?
Just another one.
Oh, okay. Would you like us to dump the ranch into your mouth and then just push the fries into your mouth?
Let me think about it. Another one.
Okay.
Now, for some new memorable moments, let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show. That was
Dawson.
Chris Kattan.
That's
yeah.
Chris Kattan.
Which is interesting to bring up today because guess who we have not seen in a long time?
DJ Khaled?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Okay, first off, P. Diddy conspiracy. I don't know, but you do have to. All I will say is when people who are haunting your consciousness, like haunting your world, like he lives rent-free in my head, haunting me. When you realize, you just sort of wake up and you're like, it's been a minute since I've seen him trying to hit a fucking golf shot or play Ziggy Marley's guitar or something.
And
what happened to him?
It's not like he has a specific reason not to do the dumb things he does, like play guitar horribly or anything, because he's a narcissist and wants his videos out there. Where is he?
Yes, and it's not like there's ever a season for DJ Khaled.
Right.
Like you could go, well, what happened to Shohei Ohtani? And you go, well, it's the off season.
Right.
He's fucking relaxing somewhere. He's not doing stuff right now.
Why haven't I heard from Mariah Carey? We'll wait till Thanksgiving.
Right. And, but he shits out a video you don't care about every 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So where is that guy?
I did do just a cursory at a glance internet search. I asked Google the question, is DJ Khaled friends with Diddy? And it comes back as a resounding yes. They were close, apparently, which brings us into our first news story. A lawyer for Jay-Z said a legal ultimatum to talk show host Piers Morgan was necessary and prompted him to take the unusual step of editing an interview with a guest who claimed that the hip-hop mogul and his wife Beyonce are engaged in potentially criminal behavior in line with the allegations against Sean Diddy Combs.
Well, there's a weird thing where they do a lot of, this guy grew up on the streets and he was a hustler and he was a drug dealer and he was a pimp. And we all go, oh, isn't that wonderful? Mr. Snoop Dogg was a pimp. Hey, Mr. Snoop Dogg, how is my pimp hand? Is it strong? Herb, come here. Mr. Snoop Dogg said I have a good pimp hand. But they don't realize, what is pimping? You know what I mean? Like, they treat it like, oh, it's so funny. Herb, he has a Cadillac that has lowered suspension on it and gold anodized rims, and he wears a raccoon coat even during the summertime. He is a pimp. He has a funny velvet hat. It's like, you're stringing out runaway chicks on drugs and fucking doing horrible things to people. Right? Like if you're a pimp or you're pimp hand, or you're drugging, you're dealing on the streets, and then we laugh like, oh, he had to settle a few guys' hash. Once in a while, the guy wouldn't pay him, and he had to show him. He showed him good. It's like, Don King, look this shit up, Byron. Don King in St. Louis in 1961, 57, I don't know. Insanely. Stomped a man to death.
Right.
He owed him money. So he stomped him until he died. And maybe he got his $40 back. I don't know. But the point is the guy with the picked out hair, and he's got the American flags, and he's yelling only in America. Okay, but that's not who that guy is. That guy is somebody else. He started somewhere. He started stomping somebody to death in St. Louis. So the pimp hand and this guy dealt, and he turned the ladies out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's something there. And now it's all about Malibu, and it's all about hanging out with rich guys on yachts, which is fine, but it doesn't mean that thing isn't there. 1966, Don King stomped a man to death. Don King was convicted of voluntary manslaughter in 1967 for stomping to death an employee who owed him, he owed him $600.
Well, there you go.
Gee. And by the way, Dawson, that'd be like you owing me $2,200 today. So obviously, I'd be right to stomping you in the parking lot.
Seems
as an employee.
logical.
Yeah, he owed him $600. He stomped him to death. He was an employee. By the way,
it's the American dream, though. He can do that.
What's employee mean to Don King in 1966?
That is a weird thing.
He served 3 years and 11 months in prison for the crime. Well,
I don't know if that guy paid FICA.
He owed him $600. All right.
Well, Piers Morgan on Tuesday apologized on his daily YouTube show called Uncensored for comments made last week by singer-songwriter Jaguar Wright, whom Morgan described as a Combs whistleblower. Wright, who has hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and TikTok, has used her experience in the music industry.
I thought the Biebs blew his whistle a couple times, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a whistleblower right there.
Used her experience in the music industry to lodge claims against Combs and Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter. Combs was arrested last month, as we know. In her interview, she called Jay-Z and Combs monsters. Morgan asked her why she believes Jay-Z has been notable for his silence about the charges, and she accused Jay-Z of forcing everyone involved to carry water while he sneaks away without a response.
Well, let's break down the game film here, Dawson. You're a reasonable man. In professions where it's 100% merit-based, then there is no, I got to go suck the owner's dick so I can get a job playing cornerback for the Buffalo Bills, because that's not how it works, right? It just doesn't work that way. And in carpentry and skill-based things, it doesn't work that way. And interestingly enough, there's a segment of sort of show business or entertainment where it doesn't really work this way.
Sure, those people are undeniable, though.
It's stand-up. It doesn't really work because who can fake an hour special?
Makes
there's
sense.
guys where you go, I don't think that's Sebastian Maniscalco. I don't think that guy's that funny. Whatever, but he has to go up and do an hour. and somebody's got to like him. That audience is laughing. You know what I mean? Like, it has to work. Records, and you can't fake your way through being John Hyatt or Shooter Jennings or any of the, you cannot fake your way through being a singer-songwriter. But rap, who the fuck knows, right? Now, there's a couple of guys that are really super skilled at it, and then there's everyone else, you know? And when it comes, and that's the rap version. Then there's the Weinstein version of it. Like, you don't think I could have been in any one of these comedy movies and been fine being in it? Like, anyone I went to the Groundlings with or the Acme with could have easily been this. Now, I don't know if they're going to be Will Ferrell, but they could have a career. They can be in movies. Any hot chick pretty much can play the part of the fill in the blank.
Pretty much.
So it's not going to happen in the NBA. You don't hear any stories about this guy. Well, he didn't start as power forward for the Knicks until he blew the owner.
Though? It happens on the Olympics basketball team for Paraguay or something like that, where someone rich will come in and buy their way onto an Olympic team.
Yeah, but then that
not
team's
in the
not
NBA.
going to be good.
Right.
And we'll know who that guy is. There's none of that in sports, or at least in this country, and there isn't any of it in stand-up. There's trends, but there's not any of that. And it doesn't really exist in, airline pilots and other things like that. But it does exist in acting, and it does exist in music, that kind of music. It's not going to be you're not going to be the Jayhawks and go out there and fake a Jayhawk set. You can't replicate that. But you could go up there and point at the ceiling and yell, "We the best." That I think I could pull off.
Right.
So I'm not sure. I'll try it when I get home. But I'm going to try it pointing up and yelling, "We the best." Yeah. And then there's also a move where I hold the microphone out and you guys do all the singing. So that can be done. So then that'll give way to Harvey Weinstein, and that'll give way to P. Diddy.
Right.
Because we don't need P. Diddy in the NFL. That guy ran a 4.240 in his combines. He took the 225 bench press and did 35 reps. That guy's starting in the NFL.
Right.
As opposed to the fat, doughy son of the owner who isn't starting. But we can pull it off. And then you get gatekeepers. And once you get gatekeepers, you get casting couches.
And you get gatekeepers who never were the all-pro. Never even really good enough to get in the league, but somehow they got there. And now they're the gatekeepers because they don't want anybody better than them showing them up.
I don't know if they don't want anybody better than them showing them up. They just make more money as a team owner than a standout, than a shutdown corner.
Good point.
You always make more as the label owner than the virtuoso guitar player. Like I don't know what they want. What they want is, this is a sport where, let's face it, you sit around. Half the SNL episodes where they have a rapper on there, 90% of white America just looks at that and goes, "I don't really know if that guy's good or that's hard or I couldn't do that. I don't know how much is coming through a machine or how much is being. I don't know if I could do that or couldn't do that. We don't know. When you watch the NBA, you know real fast you can't do that. That's how that works, and it's the same with acting. So you're always going to have the guys that are gifted at rap, and always going to have the guys that are gifted at acting, and then there's everybody else. And that's where the gatekeeping. And by the way, in terms of like projects, do you know how many movies and projects and comedies and whatever that don't get made that are far better than the shit that is getting made?
Absolutely. And I think that the whole thing could be spread across the music industry. I don't think it's rap only, because just like that, how many great movies could get made? I know that there are hundreds of thousands of awesome rock and roll bands, but they decide we get one.
Yeah, it's a cross. I'm just saying.
You get Maroon 5.
I'm just saying, Celine Dion, you can't, that you can't fake her
She's
way
undeniable.
to the top.
Right.
All right.
All right, so we're going to get a couple of chances to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris. Today, as you are listening to this, she's sitting down with Chief Political Anchor Bret Baier over at Fox News. It's her first time talking to Fox. It's a lot of people are saying there's some desperation and that she is going to Fox because, as you will recall, she completely shut down the possibility of a debate with former President Trump on Fox. And now she's going to Fox to sit down with this guy for an hour. That airs at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm not sure she's going to get through an hour.
Well, okay. So, I was thinking about this. Like, maybe she goes to Bret Baier, maybe she talks to Joe Rogan. And I was like, what is this? And what this is I think what this is you've been kidnapped by Hamas. You think you can get released if you just act nice and play it good. And at some point you realize, I got to just fucking charge the guard. And you go, that guy's holding a machine gun. And you go,
fuck, it's our only chance.
We're going to be killed in 2 weeks.
Right.
So I'm just fucking, I'm just charged. I'm just running at him. Something might happen. Something will break. And you go, well, why would you do that? Well, if I thought I was going to be released and this whole thing was going to work out, I was going to be reunited with my family, I would just sit here quietly and eat my gruel. But I'm now going to charge this guy. That's you even whispering that you might go on Joe Rogan's show is you going, I'm just charging a guy with the fucking bayonet.
And that's all that is right now. Just whispers that she is going to be on Joe Rogan.
Even Bret Baier.
Right.
And that's suggesting something desperate because now you can go, well, maybe she's just being forthcoming and maybe she's being transparent. Maybe she wants to get her message out to a wider audience or something. But remember, we only got Joe Biden because he hid from all these people. We only got Joe Biden.
He did not charge the guard.
He didn't charge the guard, and we got Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He realized, oh no, I can stay here in this tunnel for a few more weeks and come out and be reunited with my family. And he did. And also, he realized that he had the media working for him. And so, don't worry about Tony Bobolinsky and the Hunter Biden laptop. They're going to fix all that for me, and the intel agents will sign the letter, and everyone will go online and explain that this is Russian collusion, so on and so forth. So that'll work, and he knew it would work. I don't think she thinks it's going to work.
I don't think she thinks it is either.
Right, and so she's charging. Now, she's going to have difficulty with Bret Baier because Bret Baier is
fair, balanced, and unafraid.
He is not that. There's dogged. There's doing your job. There's dogged, and then there's distracting and distressing. Maybe just using a lot of alliteration, but what I'm saying is if you go, okay, what are the shades? There's a clip. I don't know if anyone's in the other. Oh, they're there. There's a clip of Bret Baier talking to a former CIA guy about signing his document with the 51 security experts that said it had all the earmarks of Russian collusion, right? And the guy was doing a sort of dipsy-do, flipperoo bullshit, that thing where it's like when someone goes, I never called you stupid. I said you can be stupid all the time. But I didn't say you were stupid. I just said you can be stupid. I never said you were stupid. Did I say the words you were stupid? I said you can be stupid all the time. But I never called you stupid. It's like, you're just saying what I'm saying. You fucking said it. He did this thing where he goes, I said it had all the earmarks of Russian collusion. I did not say it was Russian collusion. And Bret Baier was like, yeah, but you did. That's what you were trying to achieve. He's like, I wasn't trying to achieve anything. And they basically did what they did, and then this guy went in circles. But what I'm saying is Bret Baier gave him about 25% of what I gave to Gavin Newsom, which is here would be the extremes. The extreme is when Kamala Harris or whomever Democrat goes to friendly territory, and the most extreme is you go on Stephen Colbert or The View,
right?
And they feel somewhat obligated to bring up certain subjects sometimes, and they'll say stuff like, "Well, in the past you said this, and now you're saying that. So what is it now? What do you think? Here's your chance." And they go, "Well, I'm no longer against fracking, but I have not abandoned any of my principles." And they go, "Good for you. Good for you. And by the way, your boss is celebrating a birthday soon, isn't he?"
Right.
And then they move on. That's the lightest touch.
Right.
Then there is a head over to CBS and have them ask you the same softball questions with no follow-up. They go, "Well, Tim Walz, you did say you're in Tiananmen Square during the whole Chinese uprising, but turns out you were in Lancaster, Pennsylvania." And he goes, "You know what? I say some screwball things sometimes, and I get my date screwed up." And they go, "I do too."
And you were a football coach,
You're
right?
a football coach, right?
Right.
There's a birthday coming up. Biden's got a birthday. And so that's the light version. Now, the hardest version is me and Gavin Newsom and me not letting him go for 25 minutes about the exact same subject. Just circle. I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to let it go until you say something that makes sense. Bret Baier's probably, if I'm a 5 and the softball interview is a 1, he's like a 3.5. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't do what I do because at a certain point it crosses into being unprofessional, and no one will ever come back because they don't want to talk to the fucking guy with Tourette's who will not let this shit go.
Right.
But at a certain point, it's a business decision, and there has to be a business decision made. I feel like that Bret Baier clip is.
We have it. We're just queuing it up for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Now you'll hear the guy, I don't know who the fella is. I don't even know what. This is an older clip, I think. He's talking to Officer Hunter. We'll try to figure this one out. I can't see it that well from where I'm at. Now, you will hear some doggedness. And all I'm saying is we are now living in a world where the first answer is all bullshit. And if you don't go back, you go, Tim Walz, you said you were in Tiananmen Square. Yeah, I'm a knucklehead.
Right.
All right, moving on.
These kind of softball interviews are what created Gavin Newsom. You know how fond he is of his own flowery language and the words he likes to use, and then give these answers that seem incredibly intelligent. That wouldn't exist without the softball interviews, and it keeps on perpetuating the dickhead politicians who don't answer questions.
So we'll listen to him. He's talking to a CIA officer about signing the Hunter Biden thing.
I want to turn to another aspect of Russia, and this deals with Russia interference. In October, days before the 2020 election, you signed on to this open letter that was published by Politico. It said, "We write to say that the arrival on the U.S. political scene of emails purportedly belonging to Vice President Biden's son Hunter, much of it related to his time serving on the board of the Ukrainian gas company Burisma, has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation."
Right.
Why did you sign on to that?
Yeah, because of what it says. It has all the classic earmarks of one of these operations. You'll note elsewhere in the letter, if you read it, that it also says we don't know if this is a Russian operation at all. That has been dramatically changed in the retelling of the story. But the letter is merely pointing out that this is the kind of thing that time after time after time, people who study Russian disinformation, intelligence officers who look at Russian tactics over the long period of time, this is the kind of thing they like to amplify to sow discord within target countries. Now, sometimes that target country is the United States. Right. Most often in the Cold War, it was Europe. But the fact is, the tactic is an old one, a tried and true one, and it's been successful in the past.
Pause it. So if you're talking to Leslie Stahl or anyone from 60 Minutes, they'd go, "Thank you for your candor."
Right.
Now I hear there's a birthday coming up.
Right.
But he doesn't do that.
Okay.
Because this guy just took the bullshit, put it on a flip-flop, and smeared it on thick.
He came up with a prepared answer that he went over with his lawyers. There we go.
Bret Baier's
and
going
let's see
to
if he
say,
shakes him.
You have to be prepared to stop and start sometimes when we do these.
On a tried and true one, and it's been successful
But in
in
this
the past.
case, it was not true. It was not true. In fact, the New York Times found that these are authenticated. The Washington Post writes thousands of emails purportedly from the laptop computer of Hunter Biden are authentic communications that can be verified through cryptographic signatures from Google and other technology companies, say two security experts who examined the data. New York Post, who did the story first, says, holy cow, here are these other verifications. And then in the debate, right before the election, now President Biden used it. Take a listen.
Oh, this is a longer clip than I was.
Reckless,
prepared
absolutely
for.
reckless. Putin heard this. Our allies and friends heard this. This is truly.
We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do
Race.
want to
We're
stay
talking about
on the
race.
issue of race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have
just
to respond to that.
Please,
Because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks.
That's another good example
who said
of
that what this
how
he's
we're bringing it
accusing
to.
me
So
of
there's a birthday
is
coming. So let's talk
Russian
about race.
plan.
Let's talk about race.
You mean the laptop?
Because I know I can pin a bunch of shit on one half of you.
That's exactly what. Is this that's where you're exactly what.
This is
going.
where he's.
So, understanding how you characterize it, but he characterized it differently and used it in a debate just days before an election.
Yeah, I'll let President Biden speak for himself. He's capable of doing that. What I'll do is say that it has all the classic earmarks of a Russian campaign in the way it was disseminated and propagated through media.
Do you regret signing on to the letter?
Oh, absolutely not, because those words are still true.
Do you think
it has all the
changed
classic
outcome
earmarks?
Of an election?
Oh, absolutely not. No, this
Even
is.
though it wasn't true. It
No.
had the classic earmarks, but it wasn't true.
What is not true?
That it was Russian disinformation.
That's not what we said in the letter. Read the actual letter, and we said we do not know if this is Russian disinformation.
It has
right?
all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation.
Exactly. The
I
difference
understand,
between
but
an
the
information
nuance that you're
campaign
talking about,
and a
the nuance,
disinformation
did not
campaign
get to candidate
and a
Joe
misinformation
Biden.
campaign. It's not
Hold
my
on.
fault if
The
people don't
nuance-
look up definitions.
I know, but the purpose of the letter is to have an effect. And the nuance that you're talking about here never made it to candidate Biden because he said it plainly on a debate stage that obviously affected the dynamic.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I would absolutely love for all news media to show nuance on all these issues instead of racing to sound bites. And in this case, some news media race to sound bites. That's not helpful for the American people. And I really wish that people.
Was your letter helpful?
Well, instead of quoting one sentence from it, if people actually read maybe an entire paragraph.
The point is he will go. He will do laps. He's
Kamala's
doing
not
laps.
This is a real interview.
Kamala's not ever been interviewed by anyone who'll do laps. Gavin Newsom was never interviewed by anyone who did laps. The people, I can tell you, the people who don't do laps, they throw out bullshit and then they start to leave. You
and
know
then
what I
they
mean?
go back and repeat their bullshit.
Right. So they're not used to doing laps. And
Exactly.
what you heard with Gavin Newsom and me is he wasn't used to doing laps. So he kept saying the same semi-retarded sentence over and over again. He would never clarify it. He would never fix it. He would never clean it up.
He was,
So Kamala Harris is used to that as well.
Absolutely.
But Bret Baier will do laps.
And he'll do it respectfully. He will call her Madam Vice President. He's not going to try to make her feel uncomfortable. But I think this. I don't know. I just think it's the end.
Well,
we'll see.
It feels Hail Mary-esque to me. I don't think they're doing this because they think she's going to go up there and share a lot of information with a lot of Americans. If they thought, again, 4 years ago, they thought, we got this, keep Joe in the basement. I don't want him slobbering on someone's microphone and fucking everything up. Keep him in the basement. We got it. And it worked. And it was smart. They think something else. If they thought the basement would work, they would do it.
They are obviously, I guarantee you, they're trying to prep the shit out of the vice president so that she does not make an ass of herself on this thing. I think that they are worried there is a 50-50 chance that she will, even without the preparation.
I think the problem with the prep is only good for round one. It's not good if you go into round 7.
Right.
And their prep is the first answer. It's not the second answer. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, you have one more? Tony Stewart's waiting in the paddock.
Yeah, let's switch gears here.
I said paddock.
I like it. A 1997 crime thriller has been rated the best movie of all time according to Rotten Tomatoes. But the guy who wrote this article doesn't like it. Don't throw it up yet, because I do want to, when I tell you the movie, you should guess what the Rotten Tomatoes scores are.
1998?
1997 crime thriller. The movie is L.A. Confidential. L.A. Confidential with Guy Pearce, Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, and a viciously James Ellroy was a total fucking bad guy in this movie. I believe he was like chief of police or something like that. I haven't seen it in a few years. But anyway.
Wait, James Ellroy?
Yeah.
He was an author.
I think he's the guy. Oh, no. Okay. No, you're right. James, he must be the alter. He's the demon dog of crime fiction, they're calling him. So, but the other guy,
James
he was in
Ellroy's the
Babe.
author, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, he is.
Yeah.
But the dude who played the guy who owned the pig,
James
Babe,
Cromwell.
James Cromwell. There we go.
I go through this with Dr. Drew
Yes.
on a daily basis. He brings up a subject and then not sure.
My bad.
The
My
official
bad.
particulars.
They didn't put Cromwell in here, but I knew that the guy's name was James. So when I saw it, I just thought it must have been him. Anyway, this is great. The guy who wrote this must hate Rotten Tomatoes, and he's the kind of guy that you do not like. You can't hang out with this dude.
Don't want to have beer with him?
He says, if you're wondering if the new Alien movie is worth your time, you might peruse an aggregator like Rotten Tomatoes for guidance. This is entirely understandable. But if you're looking to read a list of ranking the greatest movies of all time, you should turn to an organization with the highest possible standards. You don't want all academics necessarily, but you should absolutely seek out the opinions of people who know their film history. This is not a job you leave to Rotten Tomatoes, and you won't find a firmer defense in their unfitness in this exercise than their own methodology for selecting the 300 best movies of all time. Guess what their methodology was?
Well, now it's they have to weigh women, they have to weigh minorities, they have to weigh sexual proclivities, they have a certain amount of gay directors, like a certain amount of female directors. Like they do the same thing. You want to ruin every list, or you want to ruin a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or you want to ruin the Academy Awards, then start weighing in other attributes other than just product.
Right.
And then you're going to end up with Joan Jett.
Well, if you speak with movie critics, you might come up with Citizen Kane. I've been watching Citizen Kane for the last 4 years, and I'm still only 2 hours into it. And it just takes, it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and try to chug down 20 more minutes. But here's what Rotten Tomatoes did. In a tweet, they said, how did we select and rank the movies? First, every movie here is certified fresh. Then we applied our recommendation formula, which considers the movie's tomato rating along with assistance from its audience score, illuminated beloved sentiment from both sides. Critics certified, audience approved. Seems pretty reasonable, right? That's why this guy hates it. He thinks Citizen Kane should have been number one forever or something. But let's see if you can guess. You've seen L.A. Confidential, right? More than once?
I don't think more than once.
I think I've seen it 3 times. That's a solid movie. I really enjoy it. But
yeah,
what do you think? You want to take a guess?
At the audience score or the critics score?
Both of them. Go critics first.
I'll say critics. Trying to think of what the theme was. It was set in the 40s or something.
Crooked cops, tabloid media.
Yeah, all right.
Actors on drugs.
I'll say 86 with the critics and 82 with the people.
I'm going to say 97, 91 because I have not looked at this either.
So we'll reveal that. Wow, 99 and 94. That is real high.
Now that seems to me like, okay, that looks like it, with a 99 and a 94, that could possibly be the greatest movie of all time. Not many people would call that movie, it's the greatest movie of all time.
But you don't get a lot of hundreds.
Go.
I mean, the highest you can get is 200, and you're 195.
Yeah.
So, 193. Sorry. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did I screw that up?
Yeah, 3.
6 and 193. Sorry,
yeah,
6 and 1. Yeah, that's about as high as you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right,
Tony Stewart time.
Tony Stewart time. Smoke. You know this guy. He's a NASCAR legend. Now getting involved in some NHRA as well. We'll talk to Tony right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you'll need for all your maintenance and repairs. I've always gone to O'Reilly. I used to live up in the hills in La Crescenta. I'd go to the one up on Foothill. Still there. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you'll never have to worry if you're in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free in or out of your car, which is nice. You don't have to pull it. If it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right battery for your vehicle. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fixed, quick service, they'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help as well. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the team at O'Reilly knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, friendly. So the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto, do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in the store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Adam, Bill from St. Paul, Minnesota. I got home from work yesterday, saw in the mail a letter from the Neptune Society, one of my benefits for recently joining the VFW. Wanted to share. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, NASCAR legend and owner and NHRA guy now, quarter mile guy, Tony Stewart, back in studio, though it's not a quarter mile, it's 5,000 feet.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet. That's
5,000
a mile.
feet, we're going to be hauling ass.
You'd be on 700 miles an hour. Yeah, I went up to a mile instead of down to whatever. But yeah, it's 1,000 feet's a little shorter than a quarter mile.
Yeah, a quarter mile's 1,320 feet.
It got a little too hairy at that length, right?
I didn't get to drive a top fuel car in that era, but it's looking at the speeds and the times now, the speeds are at the same speed in 1,000 feet that they were at 1,320. So the cars are definitely getting faster still.
Is it because they're getting them to hook up better?
Yeah, I think technology. I think technology is a big player in that.
Look, once you get over 8,000 horsepower, then who cares? It really becomes rubber compound at that point, right?
Well, it's about applying it. I mean, some of these teams that have less power actually do better at some of the tracks this summer when it gets really, really hot and slippery. Mm-hmm. Their cars really perform better because it's easier for them to get it hooked up to the racetrack.
Yeah. Now, when you drove, did you like the ovals? Did you like the road courses? What were some of your favorite tracks? Like once in a while, I see NASCAR at Sonoma, and I'm like, well, those guys are earning their money today. You know, like sometimes I watch, you watch Days of Thunder, and you go, all right, I could see myself maybe doing that. But then you get to Sonoma, and you're like, oh, they're going all the way through the gears and back down again. And I mean, it's real.
Sonoma was my second favorite track of all of them that we ran on the Cup side.
Really? Because it's probably the most technical.
Yes, exactly.
Around.
Yeah, and you don't get but twice during the lap where you're physically not doing something. So you only, and it's for a second or second and a half at a time that you physically get to just let your muscles relax for a second and then right back at the job. So I always liked it. Richmond was my favorite track, and I think that's partially because that's where I won my first NASCAR Cup race. But Sonoma was always number two. I always loved going to Sonoma to race.
And it's beautiful. It's probably the exact opposite of what you think when you think NASCAR. It's like wine country and grapes and rolling hills and West Coast and, San Francisco's just up down the way. It doesn't have a NASCAR vibe to it. Not a lot of Confederate flags flying around Sonoma.
Definitely not, but you could always tell because a lot of the crew chiefs and the owners, their wives came with them and the drivers.
Oh, finally, we're going to get some good food.
So Sunday, at the end of the race, you'd see all these crates going into the race trailers after they got the race cars packed. They're carting all this wine back. It's like
Smokey and the Bandit.
You know, instead of beer, they're hauling wine cross country now. So that was always a big event for everybody.
How much different would you have to set up a car for a road course like Sonoma versus a big oval?
Drastically different.
Drastically, right?
So it's all left side weight percentage you change, geometry on the front suspension. The rear suspension really didn't change much because back in that day when I was running, it still had I-beam suspension in the back, like truck arm suspension.
Right.
But yeah, you had to definitely set them up drastically different than what you did for the ovals.
What do you think about F1 gaining a lot of popularity here in the United States? Is it a kind of a thing where a rising tide lifts all boats? Like, good for that. Good. More racing, more fans, more folks. Or is it like we're competing, taking away eyeballs?
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's room for all of it still. I mean, I think it really I think that push really started during COVID, and having that Netflix special that highlighted the F1 side was something that really brought the popularity back to the U.S. a little more, and really started getting people excited about, you know, Formula One in the U.S.
Well, we have 3 F1 races here now. We had F1 races up until, well, man, I mean, Long Beach was an F1 race way back in the day. So we would have street courses, and then COTA got built up outside of Austin, and then that became a F1. Oh, it was a road course, but F1 as well. And I'm trying to think, though. Here's something to look for, guys in the other room. When did F1 stop coming to the United States? And then was it a 25-year break? Like, I'm just kind of going through my head. Like, they stopped F1 in Long Beach in 1981 or something, and they started doing Indy. And then
Watkins Glen was the same way. They used to run Watkins Glen. They used to have the F1 race at Las Vegas before, you know, back in the day.
Oh, right.
They ran in Vegas as well.
They ran the streets of Vegas back in the day?
I don't think it was I don't know exactly what property they ran on. It wasn't the streets though, but I thought it was like at a casino and ran through the parking lot somehow, had some kind of a street course laid out.
Watkins Glen is where Servant, or whatever the Frenchman is, Jackie Stewart's driving partner, was basically killed, and sort of chronicled in the movie Rush, I think. You can look it up. But they first Formula One in the United States was held in 1959 at Sebring. That's interesting. Sebring, the airport where they have the 12 hours of Sebring. Formula One stopped having Grand Prix in the United States after 1991. The Phoenix Street Circuit. That was the street circuit. So we stopped in 91 and then started up at COTA 8 years ago or something. I don't know. When did
Indy.
Indy.
The road course at Indy.
Oh, is that F1?
That was F1. I think that's the first time that F1 came back, was back at Indy for a while.
Oh,
and then it expanded to COTA and
returned to Indy in 2000. All right, so and it stopped in 07, and then we took more years off and went to Austin in 2012. So we went from having one to not having any to having one, and now we got 3 going here, which is pretty cool. So would you rather, if you're at Indy, would you rather turn in and do the road course in the infield as a driver, or do you want to stay up on the oval?
I'm a purist. I mean, I still remember back in '94 when NASCAR went to Indy for the first time, and I was racing sprint cars and midgets back then, and I was one of the people that were like, they should not be here, they don't belong here. I was still an Indy 500 purist at that time, but I still think it would have to be the oval for me. I mean, I never got a chance to run the road course. They do have a lot of vintage race events on the road course, and at some point my schedule's going to slow down enough. I've been invited every year to drive somebody's car there and haven't been able to make it work, but I do want to do that at some point. I think it'd be awesome.
Have you been invited to Goodwood?
I have, and haven't been able to make that work either. That's something on my bucket list. I definitely want to go do that.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Mike Skinner is a good friend of mine. He loves going there. He goes, you have to go. He goes, they would love it.
Mike Skinner from the Truck Series.
Mm-hmm. I raced against him in Cup as well.
Mike's a good dude.
Yeah.
I've been at Goodwood with Skinner. But and I also been at Long Beach with Skinner. I think he spun somebody out there in the hairpin that I didn't like, so I was happy for him. Mike's a good dude. I think, and we can look this up, Dawson or somebody, I think Goldberg, the wrestler, was out there at Goodwood for the hill climb when I was out at Goodwood with either Paul Newman's 935 or Paul Newman's Turbo 2-frame Z car, which I've been out there with both of them. So they flew the 930, Lord Goodwood. He put that car in an airplane and flew it out there. And then when I was going to drive it, we were like, oh, the battery's dead. Because we're like, of course, but sitting on an airplane and in customs. And that was a little snafu. We got it worked out. But Goldberg, the wrestler, was out there. And he was driving one of Skinner's trucks or just driving a Craftsman truck. I don't know.
I don't know. Mike takes that extremely serious. I mean, he's taken a Craftsman truck and he's done all kinds of things that you could not do to it, under NASCAR rules.
A Craftsman Series race truck and breathed on it real hard.
Oh, yeah. He's massaged on it, made it really nice right now.
And Goldberg took the thing into the hay bales. That's what I recall.
Are you shocked?
No.
Right.
No, I'm not shocked. Exactly. You let a wrestler drive your truck, you're going to hit hay. But, and I was like, I'm not taking this Newman 935 into the flint wall or the hay bales, or I'm bringing this thing home in one piece. But that's up Lord Chichester's driveway or whatever. I'm talking about the road course at Goodwood.
Oh, no. I did watch Jimmy Johnson's run when he ran, and I don't know what class it was and what old car he drove, but he was flogging that thing around there. I mean, like it was back in the day, he was running hard and was rifling through the field. He did awesome.
I think I was just talking to Dario Franchitti about this or something. And so what you got to do, if your wife will let you, is go drive someone's vintage whatever. It could be a Cobra. It could be a Jag XKE something. It could be something, Aston Martin, whatever, from 1964. It could be a Mini Cooper. I mean, you could drive a Galaxy because they have the sedan class in there. They have big Chevy Galaxies with Mini Coopers. And it's the craziest thing you've ever seen because the one guy's got the big V8 grunt and he's pulling away in the straightaway. And then you got the guy with the front wheel drive Mini Cooper with 151 horsepower, maybe. And he's catching them in the S's, you know, and the other guy pulls away and then the other guy's up his ass again on that Mini Cooper. It is crazy and hairy. And the only problem I can see with it is they are old cars. They do not have what you have in a modern car, protection-wise,
Well, A, you don't know how sound it is to run it that hard. B, if something does go wrong and you stick it in the fence or the hay bales, how are you going to hold up in that? So
they're not tube frame cages like you might be used to in other environments.
I still think it would be a blast. I mean,
oh my God.
I bought a Curtis Craft Offie midget that AJ Foyt drove out here on the West Coast, and I remember the day it got delivered to the house in Indiana, and we had to. They drained the brake fluid. They drained all the fluids out of it because it literally sits right inside my front door at my house. That's the first thing you see when you open the front door. And so we had to ease it down the driveway with a strap and a side-by-side to get it down the driveway. Because if something happened with the strap, I'm sitting there like, I don't know where I'm going to go. And I'm sitting there planning, looking what tree to dodge and this and that to get down get this thing safely down. But I've always wanted to know what it would be like, and that, no cages on those as well. And
oh God,
and I'm like, I so want to know what it felt like back in the day to run those things.
We have Goldberg hitting the hay. Well, I love Goldberg, but it's still worth a watch. I was there. I was standing around in the pits when he came back. He was pissed.
I'm gonna be on the phone with him Thursday. I cannot wait to talk to him.
Oh, with Goldberg?
Oh yeah. Oh. You know what that is? That's just running out of talent right there. That's a prime example. That's why he had to wrestle.
Let me explain. You're first and foremost embarrassed. You're not hurt. You're so embarrassed that you've fucked the car up and that people are watching you and you're up on the Jumbotron.
This looks like it's an episode of Austin Powers right now. Like he can't even back up, go forward, back up, go forward.
He's stuck. His golf cart's stuck.
Oh, yeah. Not clear.
Didn't make it. I made quite a few runs up there, but I was like, look, I'm not laying down any times on some driveway that I've never been on before in Paul Newman's multi-million-dollar 935. So I just, I got into it in the straightaway and took it easy around the Flint wall. But you do Goodwood, man. I mean, I just did Laguna Seca in a 68 Datsun Roadster convertible for the vintage race there, and there's something about having your head hanging out and driving an old car with drum brakes in the rear, and there's a difference. You're not going as fast, but it feels different. It's real visceral.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. It's you think of how technology's evolved and how it's changed all of motorsports. I mean, look what it did to F1, and it's transferred down to IndyCar and sports cars, and now it's transferred down to NASCAR. And, even in the world of short track racing with wing sprint cars and everything, we're starting to see some things trickle down in there that I'm not sure the sport needs. But, you aren't going to turn the hands of time back. You're not going to stop technology. Things are going to keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, I guess, when does the technology become so advanced that it starts to bump up against the aesthetic and the look? Because we can all picture those old Ferraris and all those old race cars of yore, and you go, God, they just had a certain look, but you couldn't really achieve that look with a halo above your head. Or you look at the John Player Special F1 car, the Lotus from 1977 that Mario Andretti drove, and you go, look at that thing, man. That thing looks great, but that thing was scary.
Sure.
Too,
I think the technology side, I worry about the way cars look, but I also worry about the guys driving them. What I don't like is that we're getting into this era where slowly but surely things are creeping into the sport in all these different divisions and sanctioning bodies that keep making it easier for the drivers. Mm-hmm. It's aids. It's we have all the technology and the telemetry on the cup cars, and you can sit there and pull anybody's telemetry up in the pit. So literally, your driver can be out running, and your crew chief sitting there looking at what 3 other drivers are doing, or picking whatever drivers he wants to look at, and telling the driver this is what they're doing different. Mm-hmm. And it's just helping that guy.
Right.
It's like where does the craft come back into it versus somebody saying, well, this is what he's doing, you should try this.
Right.
Well, that doesn't separate the Jeff Gordons, the Jimmy Johnsons, the Dale Earnhardts.
Tony Stewart, I'll say it. The Tony Stewarts, the Goldbergs, all the great.
That separates us from the Goldbergs.
Yeah, I mean, you are picking up a couple of tenths or a couple of hundredths in a certain spot because you're breaking a little deeper into the whatever, because there's more rubber laid down there because they did the drifting kart thing there the day before, and you got a little rubber down there, and you're picking up a little and you're going a little deeper. You know that, but now the other guy's finding out about that.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to sit there and question, well, if I do this and it's wrong and I make a mistake, am I going to go off?
Right.
Versus, well, this guy is doing it and he's not going off. And not only is he not going off, he's leading the race and pulling away. So it just makes it easier for those guys to make those adjustments versus, when I started, you didn't have any telemetry. If you made a mistake, you crashed.
How good, at least when you started, was the radio? Because I've tried the helmet radio a few times, and it's like, I can't hear a goddamn thing if I'm on the throttle. Only during, like, yellow flags and stuff couldn't hear. I mean, you probably had a better system than I had. But
and that stuff even keeps getting better. I mean, I haven't driven in the Cup Series for a long time, but I know the radios there have got better. I know in IndyCar, it's really good. Sports cars, it's really good. The drag racing, we do have radios. Nobody's talking to you during a 3.5-second run, first of all.
Right.
But they're always communicating at the line. Where are you going to do the burnout? Where are you going to back up and line up?
I never really thought about radios in the quarter mile stuff.
I don't think it's a necessity necessarily, but I think where it is a good idea, like I say, we use it a lot for discussing where in our lane, where are we going to do the burnout? And then where are we going to back up and stage? There's been a couple tracks that we've been to this year that we didn't stage with the car square down the racetrack. We had it pointed inside.
Oh, really?
To go around a bump or something that shows up on the graph.
Interesting.
So some of that I think is good, but I really think for safety more than anything, if there's a problem on the starting line and they got to shut you off, to be able to key the mic and tell you to shut it off is important, because you're sitting there with an 11,000 plus horsepower car. I mean, that's the first half of the Daytona 500 combined.
And in terms of horsepower.
Yeah. And you're sitting there, and if something's going wrong, they need to be able to tell you to shut it off right there. And it's not just as simple as just hitting a switch and it shuts off. You got to shut the fuel off, hold the brake really tight.
Are they able to measure? I can't put one of those on a dyno, can they?
They don't have a dyno strong enough for them.
Right.
So what they have been able to do is read torque. You're allowed to use a torque sensor when you test, and that's where they're basing that number off of, is what that torque sensor reads.
Because they use an algorithm that says if you're making this much torque at 5,000 RPM, you would be making this much horsepower.
Correct.
In that world as well. And those engines, who knows? What it's hard to. So the thing that's weird is if you have a little 2-liter straight cylinder, 6-banger or whatever, it's making more horsepower than it is torque. And then if you have more of a bigger cylinder V8 configuration, you might make more torque than horsepower, or diesel or something like that. But what are those engines making torque versus horsepower? Do you have any idea?
No clue. My job is from the foot box to the back of the seat. That's my expertise. Anything in that motor is all the crew guys.
And what about John Force? Had a pretty hairy crash semi-recently. John's a good dude. He's been in here entertaining.
Very entertaining. He's very entertaining. Now, apparently he's doing better.
At that event?
Yeah,
is he okay? Like, what's going on with him?
They've kind of kept it really quiet. The family has, but I've heard word that he's gonna come to Pomona and just come see everybody and wants to see the fans and everything. And that's great news to hear that he's coming to the racetrack again. So it's I think it's a little longer process than what we all anticipated. It was going to be on the recovery, but he's turned 75 this year, and it takes longer to heal. So the most important thing from all of our standpoint is we just want him to get better.
Do you guys study those kind of incidents and go, wow, what went wrong, and here's how we need to adjust for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every professional racing series does that. But, you have somebody, you think back when Dale Earnhardt had his crash at Daytona. I mean, there were so many things that changed after that safety-wise because of that tragedy. And then NHRA is doing the same thing on John's crash, just trying to analyze what happened, why didn't the chutes come out, do we tether the bodies down? I mean, the concept of, when these things blow up, I mean, imagine throwing a M60 in a trash can and it blowing up. I mean, it's loud. If you just put it on the lid of the trash can outside, it doesn't seem quite as loud because it doesn't
M80,
contain it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
But the concept of just how much concussion's inside that. So the body's blowing off of it when they have a big explosion like that is way safer for the driver. But then you got to worry about where's that body going? Is it going in the crowd?
The body meaning the blower?
No, the physical body, the shell of the car.
Oh, blowing. Sorry, the body blowing off.
Yep.
Yeah. So they have blower straps now, so those don't land in the audience, when the thing blows up. They have blower bags, I think.
There's straps and bags all over those things to try to contain as much as they can. And NHRA does a good job on that. I think it's been a big hot topic with the drivers in the funny car class of them wanting it to blow off of the car so it takes some of that energy away. And not containing it under the body there where the driver's sitting. So we think that might have had something to do with it. But this is a situation where whatever it is you don't just make a knee-jerk reaction and make an adjustment to make an adjustment. You really need to understand what happened, why it happened, and then truly diagnose what do we need to do to make it better for everybody involved, because it's Newton's law. Everything has an equal and opposite reaction. So you fix a problem for somebody, it creates a problem somewhere else. So it's just taking the amount of time that's necessary to figure out the solution for it. But we definitely want John to get better. I mean, he is the face of NHRA and needs to be that face.
Yeah, and a fun guy. And it sort of he was a great ambassador because he was a good talker. And in the past, they've always had their TV Tommy Ivos and the Hawaiian and, Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney. Like, they had all their stuff. I mean, I don't know I remember the commercials from back in the day, and they're always the best commercials because I lived in North Hollywood and I couldn't get to Pomona, but I would see the commercials when they would come to town. Or maybe they had Lions. I think Lions was probably the drag strip they had back then. But they had these commercials where they would talk about Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney, Big Daddy Don Garland, Billy McEwen, and the Chi-Town Hustler. Like, everybody had a stupid name. They had a big thing where the Mongoose was going against the Snake, and one was Army and one was Navy, and they tried to make a whole rivalry out of it, and Hot Wheels was making them. Like, it was a whole world in the 70s, late 60s, early mid 70s. I don't know where drag racing is now in terms of you made a chart for it in terms of popularity. Like I always talk about the heavyweight boxing division. There was Muhammad Ali and Foreman and Frazier, and everyone knew all that. And then it kind of went away, and nobody knew in the 80s who this guy was or that guy was. And then Tyson showed up, and then people knew about it again. And then Tyson went away, and no one knew. And then the Klitschko brothers showed up, and like now, if you said to me, who's the heavyweight champion of the world, most people don't know. They don't care. He's not from this country. Like, it has an ebb and a flow to it, And so I don't know where drag racing is right now.
I'm not sure I know that either. The thing I've seen this year that I've enjoyed, though, is running the Top Fuel car this year versus the alcohol car I drove last year. We've had a ton of NASCAR fans come to NHRA races. And it's fun at the end of the day. You'll sit there and, the access they have to us is way better than any other form of motorsports.
You walk through the paddock or the pits. I don't even know what we're calling them that way. Guys fire those things up, man. I mean, bring your goggles and your earplugs because...
And hope you can breathe.
I hope you can breathe, because when they fire those things, it's crazy. But yeah, it's much more hands-on-y.
Yeah, and it's been fun to listen to these fans come down, and they're like, we've never been, we're NASCAR fans. We've never been to a drag race. We came to watch you run the car. And I love seeing them at the end of the day because I'm like, well, what did you think? And the one phrase you hear nonstop is, we had no idea.
Yeah.
It's. I feel like NHRA and drag racing is a sport that if you can get them there one time, it's like going fishing. You set the hook. I mean, we know people that had never been to one, and now they're like, we're coming back every year.
Well, you really experience it because it's concussive and explosive. You can smell it. I mean, it's a feast for the senses over there. And when you see it in real life, you become that much more impressed with it because there's so. It feels violent when you're there. Really does.
It's like you go to, I always thought when they fired up Cup cars, they sounded really cool. And you listen to Indy cars and Formula One motors, and they're just plain sexy when you fire those up. You fire up a nitro funny car or top fuel car up, and it's just badass.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell when they just fired up and it's sitting there idling. I mean, we put Pat McAfee in a car, and the look on his eyes, I mean, and you know how he is. He's kind of like a John Force, too. He doesn't stop talking. He's got energy that goes on for days. And he got out of that thing. He goes, I had no idea. He goes, that thing is amazing, which thank God we didn't have the throttle stop hooked up to the pedal or anything like that. I mean, didn't give him a chance to whap the throttle. But you can just feel how much power those things have even under an idle and just know how impressive they are and what they're capable of.
They're also intimidating just to be in when they're not even started because they're tight and it's a real cage that you're in, unlike the tube frame cars where it's like I've driven a couple of Trans Am 1 cars and you're in a cage, but it's a kind of cage you can move around in a little bit. It's not tight.
I mean, I literally sitting in the top fuel car, my shoulders barely touch the chassis. The outside tubes of the chassis. So it's like if it ever got compressed in, I'm going to be pinned in that thing.
Yeah, they don't really they in all forms of racing or almost every form of racing, they're always trying to shave weight off of everything all the time because weight's kind of the enemy. Yep. But when you have 11,000 horsepower, is how big an enemy is the weight?
I don't know. That was a debate for the first half of the season this year because my wife got out of the top fuel car for this season but to start a family. She's 5 weeks away from delivering. We race Pomona the 17th of November, and he's due the 20th of November. So
wow.
So we've been through that process all year. Well, I'm just the replacement driver, the fill-in guy until she's ready to come back.
Did we figure out you guys were the second fastest couple on the planet?
I know we had that debate when we were here last. I don't know if we ever got to a full deal on it, but
it always makes me laugh.
I don't want to be second in anything, so it's like if I got to drive the space shuttle next to up our ante here on the speed here, I'll do whatever it takes.
The fastest couple is the guy who set the land speed record and his wife who doesn't drive anything.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts. I want a judge's ruling on this.
Well, she's probably gone 65 miles an hour in a Prius, and then he's gone 1,000 miles. So you add those two,
all right.
And it's higher than the combined of you and your wife.
I'm throwing a penalty
flag. All right,
I'm throwing it. You should be immediately disqualified if you drive a Prius. You should just be disqualified from the competition if that's what you're driving.
Well, even if she walked at 2 miles an hour, it would still combined be faster than you and your wife.
I don't know.
You're the second fastest couple on the planet.
It's better than third, I guess. We'll take it then at this point.
All right. Well, let me give you a plug over here. The race coming up in Pomona, right? That's in November. That's the Winter Nationals. That's what we always called it. At least we're still calling them the Winter Nationals.
Yeah, the Winter Nationals, World Finals, finale.
And remember, some go, some blow.
That's right.
That's how the commercial went.
You should do the commercial for them.
Sunday. That was the greatest part of my childhood were those commercials. Where do we find you? Website?
NHRA.com, and the finals are the November 15th through the 17th at In-N-Out Burger Dragway there in Pomona.
Oh, right.
So we get to eat well while we race.
You got to get out to Goodwood and do the road.
I know, I want to.
You would go insane with that. They go insane.
They're hauling the mail around there with cars that I don't know if they should be hauling the mail like that, but they do.
I saw the first year I went there I was just spectator because you can bust Goldberg's balls, but going up the driveway's fun and all, but it's not racing like what's at the track at Goodwood. That's a different event.
The only thing about going up the driveway though is when you're going up the driveway, every person there is watching you go up the driveway. So him sticking that thing in the in the horse barn or whatever it was there.
Yeah. No, it's embarrassing. But I saw a guy in a Ferrari 250 LM, which is now, those cars are $25 million. He went backwards into the hay bales, balled up thing, frontward. He crashed both his races. They got a multi-million-dollar Ferrari there, and they're putting duct tape on the hood because in qualifying the guy crashed, but they're still going out for the heat race. And they're thank God they had yellow duct tape and the Ferrari was yellow, but they're nuts.
Yeah.
They're nuts over there. You got some rich dude who owns a $65 million car who's telling some ex-NASCAR guy or Indy guy or F1 guy, go out there and drive it and try to win. Like, don't muss around. I don't care if you dent it up a little. I'd like to see this thing win.
That's what you, wow.
That's called F me money.
Exactly.
F you money's good, but F me money is even better.
Exactly.
That's what you need, Tony. You need F me monies. I got a $65 million Ferrari GTO, and I just let some Mike Skinner tell Goldberg to put it into the hay bales. That's F me money.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Good to see you, my friend. I'm going to be in Covina at the Laugh Factory doing stand-up there October 25th and 26th. You can go down to Carolla.com for all the live shows and Seven Cemeteries. That's Danny Trejo's movie, so go out and support that. Tony, we'll see you out at Pomona in November for the Winter Nationals. Until next time, Adam Crawford, Tony Stewart, and Danny Trejo say it. Mahala.